Class 10, welcome back to your online class. So, we were discussing chapter photosynthesis. In our previous class, we have already discussed what is photosynthesis, what are the raw materials required for photosynthesis, and how do plants obtain those raw materials. So, taking forward the class, photosynthesis can be divided into two phases. Those are light dependent phase and light independent phase. The term itself tells you that this particular phase is dependent upon the light, and this phase is also referred to as photochemical phase. Since photosynthesis it takes place in the leaves, because leaves consist of a chlorophyll pigment. Okay, now so in where does the light dependent phase take place? So in chloroplast it takes place in thylakoids. Why in thylakoids? Because thylakoids, the membrane of thylakoid is loaded with chlorophyll pigment. That's why your light dependent phase it takes place in thylakoid, because chlorophyll helps in trapping the sunlight. So your light dependent phase, the steps included in light dependent phase can be divided into two. First is activation of the chlorophyll. How does the chlorophyll gets activated? Chlorophyll gets activated by trapping the sunlight. Okay, by trapping the light, the chlorophyll gets activated, and the trapped light it is used for splitting of the water. Okay, the energy which is trapped is used for splitting of the water. So water is split into, since your hydrogen, it has one proton and one electron. So hydrogen and electron, and you get a molecule of oxygen. Now molecule of oxygen will be released out through the stomata of the leaves. What is the fate of hydrogen and electron? That we will be discussing by referring to the flow chart that's given in your book. Okay, so this is a flow chart which is given in your book. Okay, so with the help of this flow chart, let us understand light dependent reaction and light independent reaction much more. Like I told you, light dependent reaction it takes place in thylakoid, because the membrane of thylakoid is loaded with chlorophyll pigment. And what is the function of chlorophyll? First, it absorbs the light and gets activated. And this light, what is it used for? Like we have already discussed, it is used for splitting of the water. Okay, then you have hydrogen, electron, and then oxygen molecule. Oxygen molecule is released out into the atmosphere. Now hydrogen, this proton is accepted by your NADP. The full form of NADP is nicotinamide diphosphate. So it's a cofactor which accepts the hydrogen and gets reduced to NADPH, okay, which later on will be used during light independent reaction. And what will happen to the electron? Electron will be accepted by ADP, and with the help of this electron, phosphate group will be added to ADP, thus converting it into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency of our cell. So this addition of the phosphate group to ADP is referred to as phosphorylation. Okay, and the splitting of the water by absorption of the energy, light energy, is referred to as photolysis. Okay, generally they will ask you to differentiate between what is photolysis and phosphorylation. So photo means light, so with the help of the light, lysis means breaking down. So with the help of light you are breaking down the water, that's why it is referred to as photolysis. And in case of phosphorylation, phosphate group is added to ADP, that's why it is known as phosphorylation. In this case, photophosphorylation. Okay, now in case of light independent reaction, it takes place in, where does it take place? It takes place in stroma. Okay, now in case of light independent reaction, earlier it is to be referred to as dark phase also, but the term was misleading. Dark phase doesn't mean that light is completely absent, but it just suggests that this particular phase does not require light like that of a light dependent reaction, that is of a first phase. Like first phase, it does not require a light. So since dark means absent of light, so this term was misleading. So later on it was termed as light independent reaction, or it is also known as biosynthetic reaction. Why biosynthetic reaction? Because in this particular phase your carbon dioxide gets converted into glucose, okay, and we know that glucose is soluble in water. So whatever the glucose is produced during photosynthesis, most of it is utilized by the plant for production of the energy, okay, for its own metabolic processes. But the excess glucose, since it's soluble in water, so it has to be converted into starch. Polymerization of a glucose takes place and then forms a compound called starch. Now this starch is insoluble in water. So at night when no photosynthesis takes place, this starch again gets converted into glucose and then it is transported throughout the plants for the production of energy. Okay, so I hope you understood what is light dependent reaction and what is light independent reaction. Most of the time they ask you one word question answer, multiple type question answer also, like light dependent reaction, where does it take place? In chloroplast, it takes place in thylakoids, and light independent, it takes place in stroma. Okay, why is it called light dependent reaction? Because here without the presence of light this reaction cannot continue. Okay, and what are the two steps involved in light dependent reaction? Those kind of questions will be asked from this particular topic. Okay, so I hope you are clear with two main phases of photosynthesis. Next we will be carrying forward with the factors which are responsible for photosynthesis, which affects photosynthesis. Okay, next we will be discussing about the different external and internal factors which affect photosynthesis. Okay, first let us discuss about the external factors. So light intensity. So it is assumed that more the intensity of light, higher will be the rate of photosynthesis. So light intensity, with the increase in light intensity, the photosynthesis rate increases to a certain level, but after that the photosynthesis rate is not going to increase, because maybe because there is no enough chlorophyll for the absorption of the light. Okay, because of that the light photosynthesis rate might not increase. Okay, and next is carbon dioxide concentration. Carbon dioxide concentration up to level of 0.05% increases the photosynthesis, but above that it's not gonna increase the level of rate of photosynthesis. Next is temperature. Temperature of about 35 degrees Celsius is best for photosynthesis, and the photosynthesis rate will increase till the temperature of 45 degree. Beyond that the photosynthesis rate decreases because of the increase in temperature. Your enzymes, which are very highly sensitive towards the temperature, may get denatured. The enzymes which are responsible for carrying out photosynthetic reaction, they might get denatured because of the high temperature, and if they get denatured they cannot carry forward with the photosynthetic reaction. Okay, and next is water content. As we know that only 1% of the water absorbed by the root is utilized for carrying out photosynthesis, but if there is a less absorption of water and more rate of transpiration, then there will not be enough available water for carrying out the photosynthesis. That might even hinder the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, so that's all about external factors. Now coming to the internal factors, chlorophyll pigment. The one of the mineral which forms a skeletal framework of a chlorophyll pigment is magnesium. So if there is a deficiency of the magnesium, then proper chlorophyll formation is not going to take place, which is going to directly hamper the rate of photosynthesis. So nutritional deficiency might decrease the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, Now next one is protoplasm. Protoplasm means the fluid contained inside the cells of a plant cells, protoplasm, right. So if protoplasm, most of the protoplasm is made up of water. So if there is a scarcity of water, it's directly gonna relate with the decrease of improper formation of the protoplasm, and if the protoplasm is not properly formed, obviously it's the cells will not be formed properly, and that will directly lead to the decrease in the rate of the photosynthesis. Okay. Now next is the structure of the leaf. The size of the leaf exposed to the sunlight. If it is narrow, less light will be absorbed, that will be directly related. If the cuticles, that is the waxy layer, is too thick, then light will not be able to enter. Okay. And if the absorption of water is not proper and opening of the stomata is hindered, because stomata opening and closing is related to the turbidity of the cell, and turbidity of the cell is directly related with the absorption of water. So if there is no much absorption of water by the plant, then what will happen to the turbidity of the cell? It will become flaccid, and if it becomes flaccid, stomata is going to close, and if stomata closes, will there be entry of the carbon dioxide or the light? No, that's not going to take place, and that will directly lead to decrease in the photosynthetic rate. Okay. So those are the different factors affecting the photosynthetic rate. Now next we will be discussing the different experiments related to photosynthesis. Like we know that carbon dioxide is utilized during photosynthesis, oxygen is, but whether that's true or not, in order to prove that statement true, we will be theoretically going through few experiments which are also very important from your board point of view. We will be going through those few experiments in our next class. Okay. Thank you.